But opposition here in the United Kingdom to Israel's incursion in Gaza is only growing.
Well, Hannah Weisfeld is director of Yachad, which supports a two-state solution and campaigns for an end to the Israeli occupation. Thanks very much for coming to talk to us. So what do you make of them in this end of the ceasefire so quickly? What do you think the prospects are for bringing the bloodshed to an end quickly?
I think we're in a very bad place right now. I think we had that brief window of opportunity this morning, and it was over so quickly. And the reality now is that with a captured Israeli soldier, the Israeli army are unlikely to retreat, and if anything, will go in deeper.
There has been some talk about the possibility, being looked at by various quarters of bringing in monitors on the ground, international monitors. Is that something you think that the Israeli cabinet would go for?
I think all options at this point have got to be on the table. That the situation we're in today with a conflict which is raging, where the human toll is so immense, takes the party so far away from the possibility of any sort of short-term ceasefire, let alone a long-term peace, that what we have to do is really stand up and say we've got to look at anything and everything which might result in some calm, in which some negotiation can happen.
Given the current climate, though, how much support do you think there is for trying to kind of step back and have another ceasefire? I mean, is Israeli public opinion on the side of a government which would presumably want to have escalation? Or that's what we give
yes,
it on
I mean, at the moment, Israeli public opinion is very much behind the operation, and even more so today, given what's happened over the last 12 hours or so. I think what's incredibly important right now is that the international community doesn't wash their hands. We could end up in a situation where everyone breathes a sigh of relief if they manage to broker a ceasefire and we go back to business as usual. What we need to do is stand up and say the minute that this mini-war, which effectively it is over, that we have to call for urgent negotiations. We have to call for a long-term ceasefire, a long-term peace to be brokered, and actually international actors, the Jewish community around the world, Palestinian diaspora around the world, has to stand up and say we back that.
And with Hamas asking for an end to the blockade, at what point does that become acceptable to what you call an Israeli diaspora, if you like?
I think the Jewish diaspora is increasingly of the opinion that the situation has got to change in which life can be tolerable for both people. The organisation that I represent, Yachad, is about saying to the Jewish community, we've got to get behind a resolution. We've got to stand up and say we support peace, we support a two-state solution, and that actually without outside actors saying that very loudly, whether that's diaspora communities or the international community, it's very unlikely, given the current situation, that the parties on the ground are going to be able to get anywhere.
And in the past, some of these events, the 2008, 2009, they end with a sort of something enormous. I mean, we've had already 1,600 Palestinians killed, 66 or so Israelis. At what point do you think, we will have reached that big event? Or unfortunately, is it going to have to be a big event?
I'm not sure there'll be a big event. I think it very much depends how the Israeli cabinet now plays the next 24 hours, given that a soldier has been captured. I mean, we've seen in previous historical examples of a soldier being taken that the Israeli public and the Israeli cabinet will not back down in that situation. And so there's going to have to be a shift in the international community's approach or something, I think, if that soldier does not come home, to get those parties to cease fire.
OK. Hannah Weisfeld from Yachad, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.